Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Light Review. And we are talking with Dan Griffiths, the technical manager at Tamlite. And this is our second conversation where we're looking at dark skies. So if you're new to this, there is another conversation that you want to be hearing probably after, which puts it the wrong way round, but it'll probably still make sense because we're easy kind of going, easy going kind of people. Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Busy couple of days, but excited to talk about Dark Sky.
Hey, all the time. Okay, so last time we were talking about the principles of dark skies and where it's come
Mhm.
from and where we hope it's going to. And we said that what we'd do this one is that we'd actually get down more to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So let's pretend that I'm here and I'm representing, I don't know, somebody who owns a lot of land and interested in, would love to be an exponent of dark skies, wants to know all about it. What the hell do they do? They've got villages, they've got streets, they've got football grounds, they've got all sorts of stuff. So from the outset, where do we think the priorities should sit, Dan?
That's a good point. So I think if I would be in that position where, like you said, if you have that land, I think first it's looking to ultimately employ either A, a lighting designer, or B, a consultant or a manufacturer. Um, that, that can assist with these type of projects first. There's a lot to go into them to make sure you might have some environmental reports that you have to review, but you ultimately need someone who can. If we took a manufacturer out, if we took ourselves out of it at the moment, and you employed a lighting designer, someone who can scrutinize files, can do obtrusive light calculations, make sure that the upward light is going to be minimal to none to make sure that the lighting level is going to be someone a little bit more independent. If with a manufacturer, make sure that you have all the relevant questions, maybe look for some certification. You can look for, if you go to the IDA website, you can find certified products that will be dark sky compliant, and I think that will always be your best bet. Know what you're looking for, know what you're trying to achieve, and then really kind of build onto it that way, and making sure that you don't get talked out of what matters most to you.
Okay. Now here's an interesting one. So this is me coming back at you as a lighting designer because I've been asked to help with planning applications where the local authorities have gone back to the applicant and said, we need to know what you're intending to do with exterior lighting. But the amount of
Mhm.
detail that's required actually means, in practice, they want to see the exterior lighting design. They want the layouts, they want the specification, they want to know what the fittings are. And I'm then saying to, they said, we just want you to write a report. You ought to be able to do that this afternoon. And you go, well, yeah, but there's an entire design process which you don't necessarily want to pay for, but which the local
Yeah.
authorities are demanding. And I worry that the local authorities are doing this as a tick box exercise. They're being told that that's the kind of information they want, and they don't quite get the process. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, and I think uh, you know, as a manufacturer and most manufacturers, we offer free lighting design services, which is how people normally wrangle their way around these
So
things
we can
sometimes.
edit that bit out,
Yeah.
Dan.
Um, but that I think that is the challenge in the industry. People know a little bit of information about it, but are not enough to truly understand. If you want to make, if you've got conservations, if you've got, and you need to know flight paths, then lighting designers will need to know that information.
Hmm.
If you've got drawings and you want to know what luminaire, well, we need to do designs first to make sure you can have a completely compliant fitting and still do an atrocious lighting design with it. And I think that is the important thing. It's got to be harmonized. That you do both together, really. And then obviously, more importantly, whoever the installer is, which is the third piece to this puzzle, is completely on board and understands that if there is certain fittings, road lanterns, whatever you're installing, they're not, or floodlights, they're not starting to angle them up and up and up and then ruined a design that way as well. So they have to understand that these things have to be managed a little bit. So you do need some things up front. There might be a cost up front to these things by a light designer, a consultant, or someone, but it is necessary. You can put a spec down, but that doesn't mean that's what you're going to get on the day, if you like.
Yeah. We seem to be in a, I think this is a societal thing. We're in a climate crisis and everybody wants to do something about it, but they don't want it to, none of us want it to affect our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
In that it's all going to happen somewhere else. And I wonder, I think that's a little bit of magical thinking. And so when we come to dark skies and when we come to the control that's necessary in order to get close to a starlit sky instead of a light polluted sky, I suspect that we're going to have to turn around to end users, contractors, whoever it is who's asking the question, and say things are changing. Now, in your mind, are there things that we just have to say to them? I'm sorry, but that was what we did then. But looking forward, it's not what we do now. And I'm not so much
Yeah,
thinking about
I think.
street lighting because I think street lighting is actually well covered. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about the hotel owners, the garages, the private plots where light leaks all over the place.
Yeah, and I think that will be a balance. I think long term, the biggest challenge. I always use the plane analogy. Whenever anyone is landing on a plane, they take a picture normally as they're landing of all the lights. If they land at night, oh, look how pretty it is with all the lights on. People associate that as pretty, not understanding that you're not seeing the stars. So long term, that's the change. I think what we have to look at, exactly like you said with hotels, where it can be a lot more
I don't know.
architectural lighting, um, that is a harder conversation piece. I think where we're talking about urban streets, walls, factories, buildings, universities, it's a lot simpler because it's not lighting necessarily for effect as much as lighting for safety. When you get into the realms of hotels and architectural lighting, then it's lighting for effect. But I think there has to be some responsibility, at least in color temperatures, color choices, color intensity, where these things have got, there's no point putting in a 6-degree fit in that can punch the light 400 meters to light up a 30-meter high building. It's irresponsible. But traditionally, because that's what was available, that's what people would do. And I think from a lighting designer perspective as well, I think trialing fittings on site, we can do the simulations. We all have simulation software, but actually installing the fitting on site to trial it to make sure you get the effect, but you're not causing all this obtrusive light. Same as when you do stadium lighting. These things are going to be critical to really change that way of still trying to achieve an aesthetic for these companies that are illuminating their building to gain sales effectively, but without damaging, the environment around it.
Yeah, I once had a conversation with some residents who were faced onto a hockey field, and they
Mhm.
were very concerned about the light spill coming into bedrooms and stuff like that. And we talked around this, and they said we just want it to be the way it was, and we've always looked out onto a dark field, and we didn't have any lighting, so we want to make sure the lighting is right. And I had to point out to them that we can have the best lighting arrangement that you can possibly have, but there will be one serious difference, and that is there'll be a big rectangular green piece which is lit. So you'll have a
Yeah.
big green light fitting that you can look out on. And that conversation then came down to time, that making sure that it was, if light was needed, then it was only needed while it was needed. And I
Yeah.
wonder whether we have to, as you said, talking about 6-degree beams, that sounds like a church spire or a cathedral spire to me,
Hmm.
which we've been lighting ever since we've been
Yeah.
able to put a light bulb in a reflector. Now to turn around and say, sorry, but we're not doing that anymore. to some of the major landmarks, not only in this country but all around the world. Those monuments stand, and it does
Mhm.
seem to come that perhaps, and again, interested in how absolutist we should be, Dan. Um, do we allow 2 hours of light during the hours of darkness, or do we just say no? We've stopped doing that. What do you reckon? Where are we with that?
I think it's a good point, and I think personally, the timing is essential. I think there's low hanging fruit first. Of we've got light abuse probably for the last 10, 15 years to fix. Wrong colours, wrong intensities, wrong angling. That's the easy short-term fixes. Ledo recently did an amber lens that you can put over wrong color temperatures and start changing. I
Mm,
think the developments in lenses and glasses, particularly where you can create these effects, would go a long way because people have always been used to those warmer colors. And then I think we have to try find a balance, which is the challenge of lighting for safety, lighting for effect, but at the same time still allowing not harming residents where, like you said, if you've got a hockey pitch and or a football pitch or a running track and that's lit all night, one, the energy consumption
mm,
is not going to be good, but two, that is obtrusive light because no matter what window you look out of, you're going to see a football pitch illuminated, and that will be very, very bright. It will be reflected. It won't be nice to look at. So stuff like that can very easily have time clocks added to it where lights are reduced down. It's finding that balance of people in urban areas where people still feel safe because ultimately that's what lights for at night as well, is to keep people safe.
mm.
So I wouldn't want to walk down, you know, if I'm walking through Birmingham, I don't want to walk with no lights through the areas or them on PIRs. I could have a reduced level and
Yes.
still feel
Yeah.
safe. And I think it's that balance between the two that's needed.
Okay. So it sounds like where we are, as you say, there's a lot of corrective stuff to do.
Hmm.
It would be interesting to find. I don't know who the hell would fund this, but to be able to go in and be able to do surveys
Yeah.
in small towns. I mean, cities are a different beast, but to be able to come up with, we've walked down your high street and we've walked around the back streets, and these are the things that we've picked up, and to try and say, these are the correctives that we can put in place, and then
Yeah.
bearing in mind that our friends of the great and the good in the lighting industry are putting a manifesto together for the Roland initiative,
Yeah.
the responsible outdoor lighting at night, which is great. But
Hmm.
we also know that most people who engage in outdoor lighting or manage outdoor lighting or install outdoor lighting will never see that manifesto.
Yeah.
And so we need to be able to talk to those people. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a multi-pronged attack, isn't it? As that we've got light intensity, we've got light color, we've got timing of light, we've got distribution of light. What have I missed? Have I missed anything in any of that? Probably not. You
I
weren't
think that's the
listening.
main one.
No. And I think and if we can pin that up on the door and go, these are the things that we want you to look at, then
Yeah.
I think we can certainly be getting somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
That, believe it or not, that's our 15 minutes.
There we go. It's gone quick.
That's why we're going to do a lot of these eventually, and we will be talking with Dan again very shortly on another topic. I haven't got a clue what it is. We're going to talk about that as soon as we've finished this recording. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.